Hello and welcome to CVR News Network. You're watching CVR English and welcome to the World 360 and I'm Sandeep. Pakistan has said that India's move to suspend the Indus Water Treaty is a violation of international law and warned that any attempt to divert water should be treated as an act of war. Shafqat Ali Khan, a spokesperson for Pakistan Foreign Ministry, said that 1960 World Bank brokered pact has no unilateral exit clause, calling water a vital national interest for 240 million Pakistanis.
Pakistan vehemently rejects the Indian announcement to hold the Indus Water Treaty in abeyance. The treaty is a binding international agreement brokered by World Bank and contains no provision for unilateral suspension. Water is a vital national interest of Pakistan, a lifeline for its 240 million people, and its availability will be safeguarded at all costs. Any attempt to stop or divert the flow of water belonging to Pakistan, as per the Indus Water Treaty, and the usurpation of the rights of lower riparian will be considered as an act of war and responded with full force across the complete spectrum of national power. Pakistan shall close down the Wagah border post with immediate effect. All cross-border transit from India through this route shall be suspended without exception. Those who have crossed with valid endorsement may return through that route immediately, but not later than 30th April 2025. Pakistan suspends all visas under SAARC visa exemption scheme issued to all Indian nationals and deems them cancelled with immediate effect, with the exception of Sikh religious pilgrims. Indian nationals currently in Pakistan under SAARC visa exemption scheme are instructed to exit within 48 hours, less Sikh pilgrims. Pakistan declares the Indian Defence, Naval and Air Advisors in Islamabad persona non grata. They are directed to leave Pakistan immediately, but not later than 30th April 2025. The National Security Committee underscored that Pakistan, its armed forces, remain fully capable and prepared to defend its sovereignty and territorial integrity against any misadventure, as clearly demonstrated by its mired yet resolute response to India's reckless incursion. Pakistan vehemently rejects the Indian announcement to hold the Indus Water Treaty in abeyance. The treaty is a binding international agreement brokered.
Mourners paid their final respects to Pope Francis, whose body is lying in state in St. Peter's Basilica ahead of his funeral on Saturday. The viewing started on Wednesday and the Vatican had expected to close the doors at midnight but ended up letting the faithful until 5:30 a.m. before reopening again at 7 a.m. A 2-minute siren wailed across the country to mark Israel's annual Holocaust Remembrance Day, while Israel's pay respect to those systematically killed by Nazi Germany and its collaborators in World War II. On the other hand, Israeli President Isaac Herzog sets off with annual March of the Living from the site of the former Nazi death camp Auschwitz-Birkenau. The march takes place in Holocaust Remembrance Day, held each year on April or May in accordance with the Hebrew calendar, which is separate from International Holocaust Remembrance Day on Jan 27th.
Jest to dla mnie wielki zaszczyt, że mogę z panem prezydentem Herzogiem być tutaj dzisiaj w tym bardzo specjalnym miejscu. Przede wszystkim dla narodu żydowskiego, dla Izraela, ale także dla nas, Polaków. Miejscu, które dzisiaj znajduje się w granicach polskiego państwa, ale które kiedyś zostało uczynione przez nazistów, przez Niemców, kiedy okupowali polskie tereny w czasie II wojny światowej. Miejsce, w którym początkowo więzili Polaków, wykorzystując ich katorżniczą pracę, ale później stopniowo przemienili to miejsce nazywane przez Niemców Auschwitz-Birkenau później.
After the United States, now Pakistan faces international condemnation in the UK Parliament over the brutal Pahalgam terror attack that has claimed the lives of 26 innocent civilians, including pilgrims. British Conservative MP Bob Blackman issued a powerful statement in the House of Commons, calling the attack a deliberate targeting of Hindu pilgrims and directly blaming the Pakistani government and military for supporting terror outfits like Lashkar-e-Taiba.
Hearts of humanity, wherever they may be. This terrorist outrage is singling out people who are Hindu, and indeed I understand Christians as well. It demonstrates these people have hatred for people because of their religion. They cannot be tolerated. I raised the issue today in the House of Commons, and I've asked for a statement next week from the government to make sure we express not only our grief and our support for India, but also for the actions that India will need to take following this terrorist outrage. The sad reality is that we could see a rapid escalation. And from my personal perspective, obviously I express my condolences to the victims, to their families, and indeed to all Indians, wherever they may be, that have so sorely affected. I had the opportunity 9 years ago now to visit Kashmir Valley, and it's forever etched on my mind about the beauty of the valley and the opportunity there is for tourism, provided security is paramount. So the reality is that these people seek to stop tourism. They seek to stop people visiting. And I know in India many people have had to go home from the valley when they were touring, and many other people have cancelled their visits. We cannot allow the terrorists to succeed. So, from my personal perspective, let me say, I will strongly support whatever India does to pursue the terrorists and those that are backed the terrorists. Make sure they are brought to justice. If they can't be brought to justice, they must be living apart.
A man set a bonfire using wooden pallets in New Jersey's Pine Barrens and left them without fully extinguishing the blaze, sparking a quick-moving wildfire with smoke affecting air quality in the New York City area. authorities said Thursday. Authorities arrested Joseph Kling, 19, of Waretown, New Jersey, and charged him with arson and aggravated arson.
Southbound and the exit northbound. Alright, well, we worried about southbound.
President Donald Trump on Thursday offered rare criticism of Vladimir Putin, urging the Russian leader to stop after a deadly barrage of attacks on Kiev, Ukraine's capital. Russia struck Kiev with an hours-long barrage of missiles and drones. At least 12 people were killed and 90 were injured in the deadliest assault on the city since last July. Trump's frustration is growing as a US-led effort to get peace agreement between Ukraine and Russia has not made progress.
Believe that Putin is serious about peace given the events overnight in Ukraine? And if that bombing doesn't end, are you considering new sanctions on Russia?
So we are thinking that very strongly that they both want peace, but they have to get to the table. We're waiting a long time. They have to get them to the table, and I think we're going to get peace. We want to save 5,000 young people. I used to say 2,500. I now say 5,000. We have, Mr. Prime Minister, we have about 5,000 young people a week that are dying in that ridiculous war. And, I started out because I didn't like all the money that we were paying, and then I realized how many people were dying, and that's by far the more important element right now. I'm saying we can save thousands of people, and I don't like that it takes long at all, but I think they both want to make peace. I do believe so. There's a lot of hatred there. There's a lot of very bad blood, a lot of distrust, but I hope we're going to get there for the sake of a lot of young people that are dying. And I think everybody in this, at this time in NATO, they want to see this thing happen. So we have a deadline, and after that we have a we're going to have a very much different attitude. But I think it has a very good chance of getting done.
Do you still believe that Putin is serious about peace given the events overnight in Ukraine? And if that bombing doesn't end, are you considering new sanctions on Russia?
So we are thinking that very strongly that they both want peace, but they have to get to the table. We're waiting a long time. They have to get them to the table, and I think we're going.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Thursday called for joint international action to increase pressure on Moscow to seek peace as he visited South Africa on a trip cut short by a Russian missile attack on Kiev. Zelensky met his South African counterpart Cyril Ramaphosa, calling on the country to use its tenure holding the presidency of the Group of 20, that is G20, to promote global stability and protect human life. The Ukrainian leader handed Ramaphosa a list of 400 Ukrainian children allegedly abducted to Russia and asked for international support to secure their return to Ukraine.
Я не бачу зараз сильного тиску на Росію і нових якихось сильних санкційних пакетів проти агресії Російської Федерації. Ну, поки що ми дуже надіємось. Без закидів, абсолютно без емоцій і закидів дуже прямо говоримо. Вважаємо, що при більшому тиску на Російську Федерацію ми зможемо наблизити наші сторони, якщо хочете, хоча ми наближені, окей. І те, що Україна готова сісти за стіл перемовин після ceasefire, після повного припинення вогню з терористами, які все це влаштували на нашій землі, виключно на нашій землі, це великий компроміс. А Росія розуміє, що Україна стоїть, захищає свої права і тисне на наших людей. Тисне і на Америку. З чим я ще пов'язую сьогоднішній удар. Конструктивна наша команда, європейська команда і представники Сполучених Штатів поговорили і на папері з'явилися відповідні пункти. Після пропозиції Сполучених Штатів з'явились інші папіри. І я вважаю, що сьогодні цей формат, цей документ знаходиться на столі у президента Трампа. Все, що суперечить нашим цінностям або нашій Конституції, не може бути в будь-яких домовленостях. Я не бачу зараз сильного тиску на Росію і нових якихось сильних санкційних пакетів проти агресії.
A rocket carrying 3 astronauts to China's space station blasted off from a remote launch site on Thursday morning, docking with Tiangong space station at 1:17 CST on Friday. The launch was latest milestone in President Xi's ambitious for space, which he calls Chinese people's space dream. The world's second largest economy has poured billions of dollars into its space program in recent years.
我代表19乘组欢迎大家来到中国空间站。我和陈东是在前面一起执行了神舟14飞行任务。这一次在空间站，我们能够再次的一起工作，我觉得真的非常的高兴，也非常的幸运。祝贺陈东再次来到中国空间站，祝贺钟瑞、王杰飞天圆梦。好，接下来就让我们一起共筑太空家园吧。
再次来到这个太空家园，真的很亲切，感觉一下子又回到了和参与者一起执行14任务时的场景，非常的熟悉。然后再次看到令东、浩泽，也非常的亲切。原来是遥远的400公里啊，到今天变成了我们面对面啊，很高兴。我们是在 中国航天日发射，然后现在与你们会师，很幸运也很自豪。反正接下来的时间很短暂，让我们一起珍惜啊，一起努力把后面的工作完成好。
筑梦天宫，坚续奋斗，中国空间站永远值得期待。
它这个十字板标瞄得非常准，对，非常最终，我们可以看到两飞行器的这个距离也是越来越近。
状态真好。
是后面的吧？
对，
头沉呐。
真的是有朋自家里来啊，都很乐乎。是在帮助队友。
对，这是他第3次天地往返飞行。
对。
我代表19乘组欢迎大家来到中国空间站。我和陈东是在前面一起执行了神舟14飞行任务。这一次在空间站，我们能够再次的一起工作，我觉得真的非常的高兴，也非常的幸运。祝贺陈东再次来到中国空间站，祝贺钟瑞、王杰飞天圆梦。好，接下来就让我们一起共筑太空家园吧。
再次来到这个太空家园，真的很亲切，感觉一下子又回到了和参与者一起执行14任务时的场景，非常的熟悉。然后再次看到令东、浩泽，也非常的亲切。原来是。
President Donald Trump held a bilateral meeting with Jonas Gahr Store, the Prime Minister of Norway, to strengthen diplomatic and economic ties between the two nations. Discussions focused on defense cooperation, trade partnerships, and shared global challenges. Both leaders emphasized continued collaboration and security and innovation. In remarks to reporters, Trump said he believes Russia is still interested in peace with Ukraine and later said he would off on considering additional sanctions until it's clearer whether a ceasefire deal can be reached.
So we want to end that war. We want to end it quickly, and I think we've made a lot of progress, and we'll see what happens. This next few days is going to be very important, putting a lot of pressure on Russia, and Russia knows that, and some people that are close to it know, or he wouldn't be talking right now. The Prime Minister understands that better than anybody. He wouldn't be talking right now. He's talking, and we're putting a lot of pressure. I think he wants to make a deal. We're going to find out very soon, but it takes two to tango, and you have to have Ukraine want to make a deal too.
What concessions has Russia offered up thus far to get to the point where you're closer to peace?
Stopping the war, stopping taking the whole country. Pretty big concession. He's right here.
But do you still agree that Ukraine have to give some territory away to win peace?
Well, it depends what territory. They've been fighting. They've lost a lot of territory. We'll do the best we can. Working with Ukraine, we'll do the best we can. But they lost a lot of territory. When you say Crimea, that was handed over during a president named Barack Hussein Obama. That had nothing to do with me, Crimea. That was 11 years ago with Obama. And they made a decision. There wasn't a bullet fired. There was no fighting. There was no anything. They just handed it over. Now they say, well, can you get it back? I think that's going to be a very difficult thing to do.
The move towards an end of this war, U.S. engagement is critical, and President Trump made that possible. That is clear. That is obvious. It's really happening. Now the important thing is that both parties have to know that they have to deliver, and they have to feel the pressure to deliver. Ukraine is under attack. They are defending themselves. Lives are being lost. And we believe very firmly that there needs to be a ceasefire, the initiative taken by the U.S. some time ago. It needs to be respected. And then to move on to something which both parties can own. That is the...
We want to end that war. We want to end it quickly. And I think we've made a lot of progress. And we'll see what happens. This next few days is going to be very important, putting a lot of pressure on Russia, and Russia knows that, and some people that are close to it know, or he wouldn't be talking right now. The Prime Minister understands that better than anybody. He wouldn't be talking right now. He's talking, and we're putting a lot of pressure. I think he wants to make a deal. We're going to find out very soon, but it takes two to tango, and you have to have Ukraine want to make a deal too.
What concessions has Russia offered up thus far to get to the point where you're closer to peace?
Stopping the war, stopping taking the whole country. Pretty big concession.
Russia accused Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Thursday of wrecking diplomacy aimed at reaching a peace deal after he refused his week to recognize Russia's annexion of Crimea. Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova told reporters that it was becoming clearer by a minute that Zelensky lacked the capacity to negotiate a deal to end the war. Zelensky said on Tuesday that recognizing Crimea as a part of Russia would violate Ukraine's constitution. Ukraine says it is committed to seeking a full and unconditional ceasefire.
Договороспособность Зеленского. Вслед за саботажем 30-дневного моратория на удары по объектам энергетической инфраструктуры, а мы об этом неоднократно говорили в ходе брифингов с фактами на руках, это доказывая, а я напомню, ВСУ тот мораторий 30-дневный нарушили 136 раз. Собственно, киевский режим сорвал и тот мораторий, также он сорвал и объявленное президентом России Владимиром Путиным 30-часовое пасхальное перемирие. И все это красноречиво свидетельствует о безнадежном стремлении европейских ястребов, если не сказать стервятников, помочь киевскому режиму переломить ситуацию на земле в свою пользу. Абсолютно заведомо нереализуемая, тупиковая идеология. Но сделать иначе – это означает признать поражение идеологии войны. А их пугает очевидная перспектива победы.
Hundreds of Israelis gathered in Tel Aviv on Thursday calling for an end to the war in the Gaza Strip and the release of hostages. The demonstration drew around 500 people, many holding photos of Palestinian children killed in Gaza since October 2023 during Israeli airstrikes and shelling. Protesters chanted for peace and urged the government to end the conflict, saying de-escalation would have secured the release of those still in captive.
ושהמלחמה פוגעת באוכלוסייה אזרחית חפה מפשע.
That's the end of the World 360. Stay tuned to CVR News English.